Serious questions remain from the Moscow and Greater Idaho community about the killing of 4 University of Idaho students last weekend. And a side story over the last week has been the messy release of information from investigators and the ongoing rumor mill that can complicate the entire conversation. Now, getting the story straight, that's what people want right now. And we do understand that investigators can't release everything. We don't expect them to, but an almost random stream of information from different agencies and leaders has really made the situation in Moscow complicated, to say the least. Now, today, though, we are finally getting a more concrete timeline from investigators about the victims' activity Saturday into early Sunday morning last weekend. And that timeline gives an illustration of where the 4 students were, where they traveled, and possibly who they were around. Here's our Morgan Romero.
This horrific attack on 4 college students happened less than a mile from the University of Idaho campus. Sororities and fraternities and their out-of-houses are mostly centralized in this area. New information from Idaho State Police reveals 2 of the victims, Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle, were together Saturday night, November 12th. They went to a Sigma Chi fraternity party across from their home on King Road from 8 to 9 p.m. The other 2 victims, Kaylee GonCalves and Madison Mogen, were at the Corner Club on Main Street. It's about a mile and a half away from the home on King Road. Police say they were there from around 10 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. After leaving the bar, the girls went to the Grub Truck just down Main Street from the Corner Club. It's about a 6-minute walk. They're seen in a video from the food truck, ordering food around 1:40 Sunday morning. U of I students tell us it's a common weekend routine to go from the Corner Club to the food truck. Idaho State Police says all 4 victims were back at the King Road house, a little more than a mile from the food truck, by 1:45 a.m. Sunday, November 13th. What unfolded after that is unclear. It wasn't until noon on Sunday police received a call of an unconscious person. When they got to the home on King Road, they found the 4 victims, Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie, dead. They confirm all 4 were stabbed early Sunday morning. The Latah County Coroner tells us all the victims could have been killed with the same knife or a very similar knife. Police say they haven't yet found the weapon. And yesterday, the Latah County Coroner's Office released the autopsies on the victims, finding all 4 were stabbed to death with a knife. The coroner says all victims could have been killed with the same knife or a very similar knife. The coroner says it's likely some of the victims were asleep when it happened, but she couldn't say which ones. She says bed sheets were taken for testing from the home. We also learned there were 2 other roommates inside the home when police got there and at the time of the attack, but they were not hurt. We're told they are cooperating with law enforcement, and right now police haven't gone so far as to call them witnesses. During a news conference held earlier this week, reporters asked Moscow police about that video I mentioned earlier from the food truck that caught both Maddie and Kaylee. Moscow Police Chief James Fry says the Twitch video stream is helping give them the time and space of where the 2 girls were leading up to their deaths.
Hello. Hi. Welcome back.
In this live stream from the Grub Truck, you see the girls walk into the frame and up to the food truck. It appears they're with a young man, the one in the hat and dark jacket. Here you can see him put his hood on. He hangs back several feet behind the girls as they order from the food truck. He then follows Kaylee and Maddie after they order and stands right next to them. It looks like he never ordered any food, but you can see him talking to other people there. Several minutes later, the girls grab their food, take a picture, laugh and talk to each other, and quickly walk away. One of the people the young man is talking to points out that the girls left. He throws up his hand, waits a moment, and then appears to walk after them. You see him wave at the girls and then walk a separate direction. This recording shows all 3 are at the food truck for about 10 minutes, and police say Kaylee and Madison were home just minutes later, by about 1:45. Their home is a little more than a mile from the Grub Truck. A University of Idaho student who says he's friends with the victims told us this young man was with the girls at the Corner Club before this. ISP says authorities contacted the young man in the video, and they interviewed him as part of the investigation. They are not labeling him as a suspect or person of interest at this time. Police have been going to local businesses, as we've been reporting, asking about any purchases of knives bought in the Moscow area around the day of the murders. We also learned that the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit is now helping in the investigation. We previously reported that the FBI was there helping, but now we know this Behavioral Analysis Unit is helping. And what that does is it helps with crime scene analysis, interviewing techniques. It also helps create a profile of an unknown suspect that police can look out for, which really goes to show you that they do not have a person of interest right now. They do not have
a suspect or suspects at this time. And they are backtracking messaging. So earlier in a press conference that they held, the first and only that they've held so far, they said, we can't not say that there is no threat to the community, when initially, right after this happened, they said this was a targeted attack. There is no ongoing threat to the community. Now, just a few days after that, they are backtracking that and saying, we can't say that because we don't have a suspect.
And that really has been, a consistent side story that we followed here at KTVB, and we've seen on social media, Idaho news outlets, speaking up that the release of information in this case has been a frustrating thing, I think, for the media. And as media, we understand that, investigators, they can't release everything. And I don't think we're asking them to. But I guess the idea that there's been inconsistent release, or being, one elected official will tell different outlets different things.
Yes. So initially when this happened on Sunday, everybody was panicked because students on campus got vandal alerts and they were told to shelter in place. That vandal alert was lifted, and then police said this was a targeted, isolated attack, which is still the case, to be clear. Still true that this was a targeted, isolated attack, police believe. But then to say that there is no ongoing threat and then backtrack that, I mean, what does that have the community of Moscow thinking? What does that have students on campus thinking? A lot of them were so fearful that they came home right after that. And that's actually an important piece. Police up in Moscow saying it is a little bit of a hindrance in their investigation that a lot of people aren't there right now, but they are going to do these interviews with anybody they need to talk to wherever they're at right now. And to Joe's point about giving interviews and information to various media outlets, that has been a point of contention today. A lot of national news media outlets have gotten information from elected officials and other leaders up there that maybe some local outlets haven't gotten. And Idaho State Police, I haven't been able to get a hold of them today, but they have been a lot more communicative lately in the last day since taking over the public information officer duties.
And I want to be really clear, Moscow Police, Idaho State Police investigators, they're still looking for information. They're still asking for information. So they're asking, anyone who has seen or, known anything, here's the information.
Yeah, call that tip line, 208-883-7180. You can also email now. There's an email set up. That's tipline@ci.moscow.id.us. Report any suspicious behavior, any pertinent information. And really, Joe, if anybody has any video surveillance, any ring cameras, any businesses have anything from that area, that could really help law enforcement try to track this person down as well.
Sometimes I know we hear that people are shy or they don't want to be involved. Any piece of information can be very helpful to investigators. And, unfortunately, we don't know what they need to know right now. So any information helps. But Morgan, I know that you, our investigative team, Alexandra Duggan, she's still up in Moscow this weekend. So our team will continue to follow this through the weekend. But Morgan, thank you for reporting. And if you missed anything Morgan said or our team said, all this coverage is on ktvb.com. Before you start having conversations online or even with your friends, make sure you know the facts, because the rumor mill is damaging.
It is damaging, and that's unfortunately what happens when you don't get a lot of information, is people try to fill that vacuum with speculation and rumors, and so we just want to give you the facts as soon as we get them.
Morgan Romero reporting. Thank you so much, Morgan.
You bet.